Good morning, class. How are we doing today? Today we are going to talk about appropriate and inappropriate behaviors that somebody may display during a discussion or working in a small group or a debate or whatever it may be where you're displaying your discussion skills. Okay, so our objectives for the day will be to compare appropriate behaviors for group discussion, and then we will apply concepts of what we learned to a mock discussion. So what we're going to do is read an article, go over it, and discuss it like we would if we were in a debate class or any other class, okay? So our agenda: talk about cell phones during school, create a chart of behaviors on the board. You guys will create one in your notes. We'll read an article, then we will just do that discussion, and we'll close out class. Okay, so let's start with comparing appropriate behaviors. Okay, so think in your head maybe some appropriate and inappropriate behaviors, okay? We're gonna take that to this. Cell phones during school. Should we be allowed to use cell phones during school? Well, one person's opinion may differ than the other. Somebody may think that they are a distraction and they're bad for the students during school, but another person may think that they are enhancing our learning because we can have that technology right in our pockets. We can pull it out at the tip of our finger and know any fact really we wanted to know. So take a minute, write down some things you may think, ways that you could do appropriate things, or maybe think of an example of somebody inappropriately expressing their opinion. You may have experienced this at the lunch table or in another class or at a dinner table. What you want to do is we're going to try to think of those inappropriate behaviors and we will minimize them when we're doing group discussions or debates, whatever it may be. Take a minute, write a few notes down, and then we'll make our graph, okay? All right, so we are going to use this graph. I want you guys to copy this down just like this in your notes. And we are going to create appropriate behaviors and inappropriate behaviors, okay? So the first appropriate behavior I can think of that is just out of respect of somebody, of caring about how they think. You don't want to demean them. You want to wait your turn to speak. You don't want to interrupt them. So appropriate behavior would be waiting your turn to speak. Waiting your turn. Whereas what I just said, the inappropriate behavior that reflects that would be interrupting. Not letting somebody finish their sentence. That is just something that we don't do. It's rude. If you do that with your friends, they might stop wanting to be your friend because you're interrupting them all the time. You're not respecting what they have to say. Okay? Another thing is using respectful language. All right, so that respectful language is saying things like, okay, and using just kind words that you would want somebody to talk to you like. Whereas when you're using that disrespectful, foul language, you might be saying like words like stupid or dumb, mean words that you wouldn't want people to use for you. So that would be foul, disrespectful language. We're just gonna put one more up here. Maybe just a phrase that might, even if you disagree with somebody, the fact that you are saying this is kind. It allows them to feel comfortable with the fact that they do have a different opinion than you. And sometimes you may be the person who has the different opinion, and it makes you just feel a little bit better about voicing how you feel. We'd be saying something like, I respect your opinion. Okay, so I'm just gonna put quotes. I respect your opinion. I'm trying to avoid saying I respect your opinion, but then you say something negative. So that was like a positive, and then you're pulling it back down with a negative if you use that but. So what you want to do is just say, you know what, I respect your opinion. Even though we disagree, I respect your opinion, okay? Something like that you wouldn't want to avoid saying is like, you're wrong. We don't want to say you're wrong, because if it comes to an opinion, nobody's really right, nobody's really wrong. So thinking that your opinion is true, that's a poor behavior. And not willing to let other people talk, or not even giving them a chance. Not even giving someone a chance. These are all behaviors that we want to avoid doing, okay? They're poor behaviors. Nobody wants to have a conversation with somebody that's using these behaviors. So what we need to do is, in our everyday lives, we need to minimize these behaviors. I know sometimes it's difficult, and it's really difficult when somebody is using these behaviors on you, and you need to remain calm, you need to use your appropriate behaviors, and you need to use these every day. At the lunch table, at the dinner table, you may be at your friend's house, and you want to be respectful because that's not your home. You're going into your friend's home, and you want your friend's parents to like you. So what you need to do is display those appropriate behaviors at all times, okay? So we made our chart of behaviors, okay? These are something that you'll need to reference throughout the lesson, okay? So what I'm gonna do is read an article, okay? The New York Times posted an article in 2011, so it's a little bit older, but it's on headphones. And with the sudden emergence of like those AirPods that everybody seems to be wearing, this is pretty relevant here, okay? So I'm just gonna read a little excerpt from it, okay, the beginning of it. 1 in 5 teenagers in America can't hear rustles or whispers, according to a study published in August in the Journal of the American Medical Association. Those teenagers exhibit what is known as slight hearing loss, which means they often can't make out consonants like T's or K's, or the plinking of raindrops. The word talk can sound like aw. The number of teenagers with hearing loss from slight to severe has jumped 33% since 1994. Given the current ubiquity of personal media players, the iPod appeared almost a decade ago. This was in 2011, remember, so about 2000 is when it came out. So it's been 2 decades since then. Many researchers attribute this widespread hearing loss to exposure to sounds played loudly and regularly through headphones. Earbuds, in particular, don't cancel as much noise from outside as do headphones that rest on our ear, on or around our ear. So earbuds users typically listen at a higher volume to drown out interference. So when I was younger, the headphones that we would use would sit over top of our ears rather than in them. Okay, so that's a little bit of a difference. The one that sat over top of your ears got rid of noise completely, whereas these ones, you still hear a little bit outside. Indeed, the August report reinforces the findings of a 2008 European study of people who habitually blast MP3 players, including iPods and smartphones. According to that report, headphone users who listen to music at high volumes for more than an hour a day risk permanent hearing loss after 5 years. Maybe the dangers of digital culture to young people is not that they have hummingbird attention spans, but that they are going deaf. So imagine that an hour a day for 5 years. You ride the bus every day and you wear your headphones. Combine the ride to school with the ride home, that's probably about an hour. You're doing that for 5 years. You could ride the bus for 5 years. So imagine you're riding the bus in elementary school, or from 4th grade till 9th grade or 10th grade, whenever you may get your driver's license and stop riding the bus. You're wearing these headphones for an hour a day. That's just on the bus. Now imagine you can wear them during one class. You can wear them at home. You wear them when you work out. This just keeps increasing your chances for hearing loss, okay? So the rest of the article goes into like the history of the earphones and discusses how we could avoid using earphones and listen to music out loud. So what I want you guys to do is take a minute. Jot down maybe your opinion on this. How you would appropriately tell somebody your opinion on this. Maybe some quick phrases you could jump to. Things you would want to put into a discussion, okay? So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of time to write some stuff down, and then we are going to go over a discussion. And then if you get stuck during the discussion and you don't have anything to say, you'll have that note to look down to and say, oh yeah, I remember I wrote this down. I want everybody to participate in the discussion by saying something. And we want to avoid these inappropriate behaviors and really, really emphasize these appropriate behaviors, okay? So take a minute and write those down, okay? So during this time, as the teacher, I would walk around, make sure that they are putting good things on their paper, and then we would do a group discussion, and that would take up a majority of the class, okay? So, coming back from the discussion, that was a really good discussion, guys. I really liked how we used the appropriate behaviors and tried our best to eliminate the inappropriate behaviors, okay? So, if you look at our objectives, we compared appropriate behaviors for group work or discussion with this, and then we applied concepts to our mock discussion, which everybody did a really good job on. So we completed all of our objectives for the day, and I want you guys to go home, take this home, use these during dinner, take it to lunch, use it during lunch, take it to when you're hanging out with your friends or at practice later, and you want to have a discussion with some of your classmates, teammates, whatever it may be. Use these behaviors. Remember, waiting your turn, respectful language, and I respect your opinion. We're going to really emphasize those appropriate behaviors. We want you guys to use those every day in your discussions. Practice them. Make notes of them when you notice people having discussions that are appropriate. Maybe make notes in your head of things that are inappropriate. So that's what I want you guys to do tonight. Practice those appropriate group discussion behaviors. Okay? Thank you and have a good day.